Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4NEWS, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. But as you all are aware that today is Sunday, and Sunday we are doing a special series that is called Thought Leadership Series. Crisis moments create opportunity. Problems and crises ignite our greatest creativity and thought leadership as it forces us to focus on things outside the norm. Thought leadership is fundamental in business today and consists primarily of finding and sharing great information in a way that attracts and retains. Thought leadership is when a leader's thoughts are being used by leaders to lead others. Thought leadership is influencing a narrative by understanding what needs to be done. A thought leader can be recognized as an authority in a specific field and whose expertise is sought and often rewarded. That can be an expert, a historical figure, or a wise person with worldly impact. In this series, we will be asking straight questions and we expect straight answers from our guests. And today we are lucky that we have two very, very special guests. And our topic is COVID-19, how to prevent third wave. And I would like to welcome and introduce one by one both the guests. Both the guests are very, very highly renowned medical professionals. They are very much appreciated, recognized in their field. They are experts and they are the leaders in their field. So I would like to invite and introduce my first guest, and he is Professor Dr. P.P. Devan. Professor Dr. P.P. Devan is the professor head and neck surgery at AJ Medical College, Mangalore. Dr. P.P. Devan is an accomplished medical doctor and an all-rounder in latest treatment advancements. He is very fast in responding to changing times and very appropriate in deriving at medical solutions. Although he is specialized in head and neck surgery, he has effective treatments for many illnesses. His episode about self-care from COVID-19, which is done with me in media conference with Lal Goel during the first wave, I still remember somewhere in the end of March or so, 2020, it became viral. And it was not only viral in the language that was English, which we have done, but it has been translated and converted in many, many languages. And it was shown not only in India, but all over the world. And how many millions, we can't say, because whatsoever figures somebody is sending from Tamil language, somebody is sending from Telugu language, and they all are getting more than 1 million. So one can understand his position, that how his first thoughts which he has given, and I was lucky to have those bites, and that became viral. And that viral video helped many people to stay away from fear and panic caused by the virus. He kept himself updated with latest treatment protocols and helped many people to manage the crisis at ease. He was professor and head and neck surgery at AJ Medical College, Mangalore. But now he is serving AJ Medical College as professor of head and neck surgery. He was chief of medical education of AJ Medical College, Mangalore earlier. Dr. P.P. Devan had won 2 gold medals for outstanding research in South India ENT conference and was the editor-in-chief of ENT International Journal. Welcome, Dr. P.P. Devan, on our show. Now I would like to introduce my next guest, and she is Dr. Kaveri Nabisan. Dr. Kaveri is FRCS. She is the renowned surgeon and novelist. She did her medical studies at St. John's Medical College, Bangalore, and her FRCS from London. Most of her surgical work in India has been in rural areas and small towns in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. She has served as a governing council member of the Association of Rural Surgeons of India. She started writing while working as a surgeon and has combined her two professions with ease. Her novels, published by Penguin India, travel to different places and bring to life the richness of ordinary lives. Her critically acclaimed novel, The Scent of Pepper, was published by Penguin UK. The story that must not be told was shortlisted for the South Asian Man Booker Prize and the DSC Literary Prize. Her latest, A Town Like Ours, was published by Elf Publishers in 2014. Her first non-fiction work, titled A Luxury Called Health, will soon be released. Welcome, Dr. Kaveri, on our show. Now, as I told you about this format of this particular series, I will be asking questions to both of the panelists one by one, and they are straight question, and I expect straight answers from them. So my first question goes to Dr. Deven. Dr. Deven, as per our topic, COVID-19, how to prevent third wave according to you? Please unmute. Please unmute.
So am I clear?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So the thing is, we initially looked at alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Now we are in delta plus. And shortly about to come is what is called lambda. Now, what is unique about these viruses are, as it is mutating and unfolding, it is becoming more and more vicious and very highly infective. Which means if a person just walks by who is positive, everybody around him can get infected. It is that powerful. Now, what do we mean by the third wave? Iran, for example, is now seeing the fifth wave. These are waves of infections. It is up to the individual to protect. And my answer is very clear. You are the captain of your ship. You are the master of your destiny. We need to very clearly understand the virus enters through only the nose and throat. Earlier we said the eyes and ears. It is up to us to protect. Earlier we said surgeon's mask. It is not enough. Then we went on to N95, not enough. N99. Today we are talking of FFF3. That is face protection shield 3. That has got a highly, completely protected mask that totally envelops the face. You have to protect. There is no other go. Why? Because today we are talking about 70% vaccinated. How many people who have got vaccinated are getting infected? How many people with vaccines are getting side effects? So you have to protect with a total N99 or what is called a G99 with a silver impregnated mask completely enveloping the face with a nose clip that does not leave a gap. On top of that, you have to be wearing a face shield. That is the way to protect, because this virus, as it is evolving, is becoming highly infectious. That is the answer. We have what is called an air bubble released by an American company. The person completely lives inside an air bubble, sterile bubble. No way the virus can enter. That is the only way that you can protect yourself. There are other ways, of course, by increasing immunity, but we'll come to that later. But this you have to do.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Deven. So according to Dr. Deven, if we have to prevent this third wave, we have to protect ourselves. We are the captain of our ship. And for that, he has suggested the face mask along with a face shield. And that face mask also he is giving the specification, which he has very clearly described. Now I would like to ask our other panelist, Dr. Kaveri. Dr. Kaveri, the same question to you. COVID-19, how to prevent third wave? You have already heard what Dr. Deven has said. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Firstly, I think the third wave, there are two viewpoints. I mean, we do not know when it is going to come, if it is going to come, and we do not know the severity. As the doctor has said, the virus mutates and becomes more and more virulent. But at the same time, the previous pandemics have shown that most pandemics have lasted about 2 years. And by then, although they mutate and they transmit quickly, but their virulence decreases. This is what we have seen in past pandemics. I'm not saying this one is going to be the same. We have absolutely no way of being sure when the newer variants come, how virulent they are going to be. And as Dr. Devan rightly pointed out, there are many ways of protecting, and they probably will become sort of essential. They will become essential because there is no other way of escaping. But and the other point that I think about is the fact that this is a zoonotic disease which has come from the animals to man, and usually the wild animals, and it is also partly due to our life patterns and the extensive deforestation that has gone on, that the wildlife and the mankind are coming closer to each other. So this is not going to be the last pandemic. We have to be aware of that too. And so the current, the prevention of the third wave, if we are going to, have to look at that only, although there are other things about the imbalance that the society has got, and which has become very obvious now with this pandemic. I think one significant thing that has happened is that we have become, for the first time, perhaps in a long time, aware of the total imbalance within in the world, between developed and underdeveloped countries, between in countries, between the various economical classes. We have become very aware of the fact that those of us who are privileged are at a better, position to save ourselves. And so all these things come to play when we talk of preventing the third wave. And for me, there are 2 or 3 things that are essential. Again, open for debate, but mainly, of course, what Dr. Devan did say about the masking, the best possible way of masking, distancing, and the hygiene. Those 3 stand as they did before. And vaccination, we will leave it aside because there is a lot of debate, but there is enough said about the vaccines, and it's an evolving thing. But we are not going to be able to adequately vaccinate the population if the third wave is to come in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. We would not have finished vaccinating. And so my feeling is that we have to do 2 things. One is use the drug ivermectin, which is safe and which is able to kill the virus if it is used in certain dosage and repeatedly. And it is like taking a paracetamol once a week. I don't see any safety problem with ivermectin. So I don't see why patients who are waiting, while they're waiting to be adequately protected or cannot be otherwise adequately protected, either vaccination or other means, like people who live in small houses, 6 or 7 in one room, will find it, they do find it extremely difficult to even manage those 3 safety precautions in every sense. So why not use ivermectin to subdue the virus, to prevent the virus from transmitting, and so stop the third wave? That is one. And the other is that we need also the support mechanism for the very vulnerable people who have not been earning anything for over a year. There are people who are totally without the means to nourish themselves, proper immunity, building up your own immunity in natural ways, natural means, and but they do not have the means to do it. And so the ability, some way of providing adequate nutrition to the vulnerable population. All these would be linked and would have to go fast and together if we want to prevent a third.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kaveri. But yes, you have mentioned about the medicine that I will be taking afterwards. But I would like to have some more things to know first. Then I will discuss, because that is a very good point to discuss. But that I will take afterwards. Now my question goes to Dr. Deven. Dr. Deven, as we know today, the condition of vaccination, whatsoever we say that we are #1 in vaccination in the world, but the percentage wise, the vaccination is very, very less. So how can third wave be avoided if overall vaccination percentage is less than 50% across country? I am talking of the first dose only. I am not talking of the 2 doses. 2 doses, we have not even touched 5%. So if the vaccination is what we have seen in other countries and what we are seeing right now in other countries, whether UK or USA and other countries, although the number of patients are more, but the seriousness, the hospitalization or the mortality is far less as of now today, because their vaccination has already crossed more than 50%. In India, you know the figures well. So when this is the situation, and when they are expecting, like Dr. Kaveri mentioned, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometime, anytime it will come, how we are going to avoid or prevent, this is a very, very important question today. So what you say about this, Dr. Devan?
Sir, it is very clear. What are we concerned about? Are patients becoming suddenly serious and dying? Otherwise, what is COVID? It is an ordinary common cold that people get. Now, when we look at dying people, that is what we want to avoid. We need to look at what is wrong in those who die. I will highlight very clearly what is wrong. Number one, the body level of iron, very clearly, iron is low. Number two, the body level of zinc is low. Number three, the body level of amino acids. Now, all these three are absolutely of import to increase the immunity. I have been treating patients across India just by an immune enhancement program by supplementing amino acids, iron, zinc, and of course, vitamin C. And I find not a single one of them, of those whom I have treated, have died. The answer is very clear. If you're immunologically very strong, which I have been practicing for the larger part of 3 decades of my life. I primarily run an immune center for children with tonsillitis, adults with upper respiratory, all those whose immunity I have enhanced, no drugs, no antibiotics, they remain largely healthy. So that is my take. Improve your immunity. Absolutely, you may get COVID, you may become positive. It may be just an upper respiratory, a sneeze, a nose block, a cough. 3-4 days it clears off. If the immunity is low, suddenly on the 8th day, as Dr. Chetty from South Africa said, there will be a cytokine storm, death will wait at the door. So my take to all of you who are listening to this, please enhance your immunity. Earlier I said, how can you get zinc, papaya, watermelon seeds? How can you get iron from black grapes or black dates? How can you get amino acids from sprouted grains? Today I say that amount that you get is minuscule and meager. You need to take supplements. Your own personal physician is the best person qualified. They will give you supplements. As long as you take, I guarantee you will be healthy. Now, apart from that, there is an emerging idea that what dictates your good immunity is also what is called the microbiome. That is the bacterial flora inside your intestine. So at least once a week, take a probiotic. You will remain healthy. Nothing will happen.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Deven, for your views. And according to you, it's the immunity which we have to increase by taking zinc, iron, or amino acids.
One last thing I need to add. There is a lot of talk about vitamin D. I differ. Today we know it is not vitamin D. It is sunlight. Why? Sunlight contains a spectrum of light called blue light. And that blue light increases the speed of T cells. T cells are the ones that go and attack. Now, this T cell speed at which it attacks is increased by sunlight blue spectrum. I always tell people, sit for 5 minutes in sunlight in the morning between 7 to 10. Apart from what these nutrients I had said, you will largely be protected.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Deven. Now, Dr. Kaveri, you have heard what Dr. Deven has said. The same question to you. You want to add anything, whatsoever you want to say, that how can third wave be avoided if overall vaccination is less than 50% in India?
No, I agree with everything Dr. Devan has mentioned. I think and I learned a few things from him when I spoke to him regarding special amino acids as well, which come from which are found in sprouts. So although, sprouts have been used by many of us, not everybody knows that it contains very essential amino acids. Regarding the providing this immunity, when you come to the actual social environment we live in, and as I have seen in rural areas, majority of my patients are the working population, that is the daily wage earners, and they are not in a position to provide themselves with these. And even if you tell them, I mean, we can of course give them the supplements. The only way is for us to give them supplements, but food wise, I'm afraid they're not able to, they don't have a very good nutritional background, because most of them eat rice and a thin gravy, which is made of onions and maybe some spices. So, and now with the poor economy, they are suffering further. So if there was a program which could really genuinely do what Dr. Devan suggests, in the way of zinc and iron and vitamin C and everything, and amino acids, that would be wonderful. But I do not think we're going to reach that stage very quickly, that we can prevent the third wave, because seeing how the government is functioning, they take about a year before they get to understand what is the crucial immediate step necessary. They seem to take a long time. And we are also in a stage where the vaccination thing, there are lots of questions about vaccines themselves, the safety of vaccines. So I do know people who are still not, ready to take vaccines. But that is besides the point. I agree with Dr. Devan on the fact that immunity is the most important. And one good thing is, among the educated population, this awareness of immunity has increased. People are, I get online patients from the cities, otherwise mine are all rural. And they are quite happy to know about what is going to boost their immunity, and they want to immediately try it, whether it is just medication tablets or whether in the way of food. But how do we deal with this? And that is why I think two things that there has to be this, the third wave prevention is also sociological. The society has to, in society, I think hardly 10 or 20% will be able to afford immunity boosters unless it is supplied to them. Just like even basic food, we have come to a point when people are not able to afford food. We've seen the wonderful work done by NGOs in providing 2 meals a day. So even if that is a problem, then we are not going to be able to provide immunity boosters unless the government takes it on. Government takes it on by all means. We can do it. And the same way, why I say ivermectin is such an important one to use, because it is immediate, it is cheap, it is safe.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kaveri. Now I will go to Dr. Devan. Dr. Devan, you have mentioned about zinc, iron, etc. But so much have been spoken about COVID treatment. Guidelines keep changing. And you have seen even the ICMR or the government of India, they mentioned very clearly recently not to, for the preventive medicines, not to go for immunity boosters for zinc, SCQ, coronal, etc., etc. And for the treatment medicine also, they changed the line of treatment, like Remdesivir, 2DG, still we don't know what is going to. Steroids, they said no, monoclonal antibodies, etc., etc. So why one side you are saying about the zinc, iron, and other things to improve the immunity, and the government has officially declared that the research says that the zinc has no role to play for this treatment or prevention of COVID. What you say about this, Dr. Devan?
Sir, I am sorry and sad to say these protocols are devised by fellows sitting in ivory towers who have no clue of what is happening at the ground level. Look at Dr. Kaveri dealing with actual patients. Look at Dr. Chetty in South Africa. Look at Dr. DiMello in Mumbai. Look at Dr. Carlson in New York. These are, look at Dr. Tamban in
I think we lost.
life.
Yeah. Go ahead, doctor.
These are people dealing with day and night life and blood people, and they have very clear protocols. I fully concur with Dr. Kaveri's outlook and what has originally been designed by Dr. Borodi. Dr. Borodi from Australia, what a guy. He said very clearly, and the first to absolutely with authority say, in 48 hours time, the virus dies by ivermectin. What a discovery. And that has been extrapolated by Dr. DiMello from Mumbai. 48 hours, he gives it for 2 days. Along with that, an antiviral drug, which I as a student studied as an antibiotic, and that is doxycycline. So you combine both together for any corona patient. By the second day, all symptoms disappear. By the third, fourth day, they are negative. When we have, and so one thing about the research, the first research in the world to find out what causes recurrent tonsillitis in children was done by me in my department. For the first time, we discovered that the blood level of zinc was low. And when we supplemented zinc, pure zinc, all these infections disappeared. Today, we realize that zinc is supported by iron, vitamin C, amino acids. So who are these fellows to say zinc research source? They have no clue about research. This is something I've been practicing for 3 decades, immunity treatment. So let those fellow people who are in the field dealing with life and death patients, dealing with life and blood patients, let them come and talk. These people who are advocating various drugs, sometimes I have a suspicion vested interest is at play. My outlook is very clear. If a patient with corona positive is immediately given doxycycline ivermectin, which I believe Dr. Kaveri will concur, 100%. It is atrocious to realize today 1,000 people are dead. 3,000 died about a month back. Today, because of the lockdown, it has come down. This is something that should not have happened. Are we killing people with our lack of knowledge and lack of direction and focus? Absolutely, because when we have a documented evidence, when several doctors around the world have said this is the way to go, why don't we listen to them and take it forward? Not a single patient should die. That is my very clear outlook.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Deven. Dr. Kaveri, you have heard Dr. Deven what he said. Now, my question, the same question to you is, so much different opinions or the guidelines are changing time to time. And now the guidelines are very clear. No zinc, no SCQ, no remdesivir, no steroids, no monoclonal antibodies, etc. So whom to believe? Because one side, the doctors, and especially those doctors who are coming on television, national television regularly, whether he is the All India Medical Institute's director or the Dr. Paul, the Niti Aayog, the person in charge, or Dr. Bhargava, all these three are always saying to stop all these things. I will come to that medicine afterwards, but these things, I am just talking about these particular thing. What you say about this?
See, this COVID, first of all, COVID is a new disease for all of us doctors. And we have, all of us, every one of us has had to educate ourselves. But the marvelous thing is we have also formed this circular learning, learning from each other. And that has been the strength where we have been able to share knowledge and learn from other people who have got more experience than we have. At least my experience is that way. I have been able to learn. Well, I mean, what the government says, the current situation, I wish they would sit with us in a panel like this and talk, because then we could ask them, I mean, on what basis have you said this? It is, I mean, I agree about remdesivir and favipiravir and all those things, but then what else do they, when the inflammatory stage comes, when a patient reaches that 8th day of a strong inflammatory, severe inflammatory stage, when the CT, the high resolution CT is showing, the number 15 and above, the real severity of the disease, or the blood test is showing it, and where we have to urgently treat them. So they cannot just chop and change without having a proper baseline and educating the doctors about it. I mean, right now, all the doctors I know, the reputed doctors are still using steroids, but of course in a small dose and a properly calibrated dose of steroids at the right time and for the right duration. They are using it, and along with the budesonide inhalers. So it is. I have no idea about monoclonal antibodies. I'm also a bit doubtful about that myself, but I do not see how they feel this, and also the use of anticoagulants, which again becomes very necessary. And there are different phases. The different ones we use in the very acute stage, severe disease, it's enoxaparin, which you have to use injections, subcutaneous, and then go on to oral and keep them on it. Currently, they say for a long time, because the post-COVID time, there is every chance of neurological or cardiac complications. So I'm little saddened by the way the protocols are being put without proper discussion, or if what they say is true, which I doubt very much, because I'm totally convinced with what Dr. Devan says, who has himself pioneered it to start with tonsillitis. And we have learned, I learned some years ago, maybe a decade or two ago, that zinc is very useful to protect children from acute gastroenteritis as well. So I do not understand. I'm saddened by the fact that the government does not reach out, or the medical body within, like the ICMR, doesn't reach out to try and evolve protocol which can be quickly and effectively used all over the country. See, the problem with us, Mr. Goel, is that we choose our political leaders. They are voted to power, but that doesn't mean that they are actually effective leaders. Just because they get votes doesn't mean that their leadership is effective. And this pandemic is a real example. And I can't substitute any other leader like that, easily to think who would have dealt with this better. I think there are people who would have dealt with it better than this, but I don't know who could have really done it, like to call the best brains in the country who understand these things, and we have a lot of them in the country, and have exchange with the other parts of the world, and come to some consensus, which is effectively then followed by the government hospitals all over the country and reaches every public health center. Unless we can do that, we are just, in this crisis situation, wave after wave. And as doctor said, thousands dying per day, and the suffering and the financial debacle for the lower middle class and the poor.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kaveri. You mean to say that the leadership should try to have the expert opinion from those who are in this field, pan-India, not from one side or from the sitting in the, like Dr. Devan mentioned, sitting in the air-conditioned rooms and just giving their opinions on the television bites, but those who are working in the field, pan-India, because there are different, you are seeing the patients in the rural area, Dr. Devan might be seeing patients in the a small city, somebody is seeing the metro city. So everyone can discuss among themselves and find out a proper protocol to be used pan-India, not and not somebody has giving his please stop taking zinc or please take this thing. It should be. Now my question to you only, then I will come to Dr. Devan. In a recent article which you wrote in New Indian Express titled "How to Prevent a Third Wave of COVID-19," you were very forcefully advising to use ivermectin, which you are even saying today, to cure and to prevent COVID. Can you tell us more about it?
It was sometime last year, I think in August, when I first heard about ivermectin being used. And and the Australian doctor who had initially done some in vitro studies, and then a Bangladeshi doctor picked it up, and then it was used there first in Bangladesh, and then later on in so many other countries, including India. And so when I began to read about this, already being quite familiar with the drug ivermectin, because we have used it as an antiparasite. And the parasitic infections were very common in places like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, especially in the 80s and 90s. So I was familiar with ivermectin. And so I read more about it. And it was subsequently, I think sometime in October, that I decided to start using it on patients. And we were getting it actually only as a deworming tablet. And it was combined with another drug. So I had to order it, at least in my part here. So I had to order it from Pune to a friend, and I got a supply of proper ivermectin, and I began to use it. And although my number of cases are not huge, I treat in hundreds. No, I have not yet treated 1,000, it's below 1,000. But I found definitely and significantly that every patient I treated, initially I used to wait for 3 days. Like if a patient came with cough and cold, I would say 3 days, try your home remedies, try whatever little small things. But if you don't get better, come back. And I was also trying to do blood tests because I was not so sure. We did not have COVID facilities that time over here, testing facilities. So if after 3 days they were persisting, then I would treat them with ivermectin. And I found that everybody was, getting better. I have not had any not get better. I had one patient who was already an acute renal failure patient who died. I had sent him to hospital, but he died. He didn't make it. But I think it was his renal failure. And there was another patient who had a history of tuberculosis, and we found that he had got a recurrence also. But I suspected COVID. He was also quite bad, so I sent him also to hospital. He recovered, but I had given him ivermectin already. So I have been using it that way, and then I started using preventive again. I started in October, I started using preventive ivermectin, and I have personally used it since October, and I give it to my patients. If a patient is found COVID positive, then the whole family, I give the whole family, because most of my patients, as I said, are daily wage earners, and they live in very small homes. So there is no use. I mean, I know of school children trying to sleep with masks and saying, we just can't sleep, they don't know what to do. So I've been using it, in all my patients. I even spoke to the deputy commissioner here, asking her why she could not, look into this matter about ivermectin and try to provide it in the public health center. But she said yes, but then eventually it never happened. They did not use it. So we try to reach out to tribal colonies. We try to reach out to people who are, where we get whole colonies who are infected. So we immediately start ivermectin for whoever is not infected, and especially for the children, using the weight, standard dosage according to their body weight. So we've been doing that. And for me, as I said, and I have all these cases, not only can you prevent COVID, I think in case it's supposed to be about 74 or 76% effective in prevention. So even if a patient gets COVID, it will be very mild. A person who has had ivermectin will not possibly need admission even, let alone oxygen or ICU. And so it has got very similar. I mean, the claims of vaccine are exactly the same, that about 70 odd % efficacy, and even if the patient might get COVID, but they will not become serious. So we have an easy, quick way. It is like giving one paracetamol a week. It's the equivalent of that, in safety, in matters of safety.
So according to it's once a week, one tablet.
Yes, but when you first start, you have to, because the tablet, when you use it within 4 hours, it will begin to act. So I tailor it according to the needs. I give to a lot of affluent people also who write to you or come to you saying, "Oh, we heard about this drug." So I use it for a lot of people. But yes, in the first week I use it the first day, the third day, and the seventh day, and after that once a week.
Okay.
Tell them
Oh,
use it as long as there is a risk.
okay. Thank you, doctor. Now my question to Dr. Deven, I'm just coming to you, is in the said article written by Dr. Kaveri, she has mentioned about one professor of Mangalore, although she has not given the name, but it was obvious that it is, I'm sure Dr. Kaveri will vouch that no one else than Dr. Deven. Correct, Dr. Kaveri?
Yes.
Okay. So Dr. Deven, it means she has mentioned in that article about you. Now, we would like to know your experience that how the ivermectin can cure COVID. Dr. Deven, please.
So I do not have Dr. Kaveri's experience of using it as a preventive, although that is a wonderful idea. For preventive, I have been following my regime of these three things which I had earlier highlighted. But all those across India, I have treated 2 drugs, doxycycline 100 milligram, ivermectin 12 milligram, both twice a day for 5 days. Dr. DeMello from Mumbai gives it only for 2 days, but I insist 5 days. All those whom I have treated, 100% they have survived and gone on to productive lives. Now, critical patients, one injection costing only 400 rupees, where it is called pegylated interferon alpha 2b. When they are sinking, one injection, 100% it has blocked the cytokine storm and brought them out of it. Intensive care doctors and physicians who felt that we can't approach them, or they had their own protocol, who refused to give, patients have died, including my classmate. We studied in Manipal together. I begged and pleaded, I take the responsibility, please give one injection, pegylated interferon alpha 2b, subcutaneous, 400 rupees. They refused to give. My classmate died. So that is sometimes, the problem we face. Now, if I can feel so much of anguish, I really understand how the public feels when a patient dies. Even though as a doctor, I have requested, they have refused to give, he died. So you see, this is it. This is it. So when so much of evidence is there, why can't the government formulate a protocol? Because we are in a lockdown, it has reached 1,000 per day. But earlier, as you would have noticed, 3,000, 4,000 people were dying per day. Even one death should not have happened if the protocol is very clear. The very fact patients have died means we do not have a clear roadmap on preventive strategies or active intervention. We do not have a clear idea. That is what is happening. And it is so distressing and sad that that is how it is.
Okay. But Dr. Deven, now again, I'm coming to you, is the WHO Therapeutics and COVID-19 living guidelines. In the World Health Organization's WHO's most up-to-date recommendation of treatment of COVID-19, their recommendation is that ivermectin should not be used in patients with COVID-19 unless it is a research setting as part of a clinical trial. Do you agree with this?
I absolutely disagree. Now look at the WHO fellows. They withdrew remdesivir. Something happened. What happened? Is it financial concerns? Something happened and they pushed remdesivir through. What is the finding? Instead of the patient dying on the 9th day, they die on the 7th day. What sort of rubbish is this? No, I will not agree. I certainly will. When we have documented evidence of countless patients absolutely surviving, improving, and recovering with ivermectin, why don't we institute this as a protocol? As we know, WHO seems to be far off. Initially, they recommended so many things. They recommended favipiravir. They recommended coalescent plasma. What happened to all that? All of it have been withdrawn, which means they themselves did not have a very clear idea. There are doctors in the field treating patients. Look at Dr. Borodi. What a diamond brain he is. He is the one who formulated the triple drug regime to cure acidities due to Campylobacter pylori. He is the one who formulated. How many millions of patients have been cured from hyperacidity? So if that sort of brain is amongst us, we need to pay obeisance and deify them, put them on the highest platter and listen to what they have to advocate. not some rubbish that others are following. Politicians, health authorities, no. Look at people who are on the ground. Look at Dr. Taban. Look at Dr. Kaveri. Look at Dr. DeMello. Look at the Charleston from New York. These are people on the field dealing with COVID patients, recovering them,
Hello,
and
I'm at a meeting, please.
we
I'm
need
at a
to sort of
meeting.
look at them, understand them, and
On the
give them
Ganta
due
for money,
credibility.
on the Ganta.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kaveri, you have heard what Dr. Devin has said. Now, same question to you. The WHO clearly said not to be given to COVID-19 patient. It is it's a part of clinical trial. Do you agree with this?
No, I've strongly opposed that view of the WHO myself, because ivermectin is one of their listed essential drugs. WHO's list, it is among the listed drugs of WHO. That means the safety is proved. Safety is proved. Now it is there. It is in their protocol because it's been used for 40 years. Now, if safety is proved, then what is it that's worrying them? It means efficacy. They think it is not efficient. Let them do the trial. They have got the money. They have got the huge sponsors who pay them. I mean, who sponsor WHO. So let them sanction a scientific trial. I can't do a scientific trial on a big scale. They want large scale. Do it. I mean, why is it that all these pharmaceutical companies which have spent millions of dollars on vaccines, why could they not do a trial? There are trials, there are very good trials, but if they want to themselves prove it or find it, let them give grants to whoever the scientists are, the authorities, and hold up a trial. If they are doing trials on the vaccines, within a few months now, they are saying that the vaccines are this safe and all that. So why are they not doing on this simple drug?
You mean to say, Dr. Kaveri, that WHO or ICMR or the Niti Aayog, whatsoever, they are changing the protocol without a scientific trial?
No, I'm talking here purely of what Dr. Devan said about remdesivir. That is true, and favipiravir and plasma. That is true. They endorsed it at first. How did they endorse it? On what basis did they endorse it when later they were proved to be absolute duds? But when there is a drug which doctors have treated patients by the thousands all over the world are saying, and there are many of them very reputed doctors. Now, if they have made these claims, why don't, if you want to prove them wrong, then prove it. I mean, I will certainly accept if I'm wrong. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I will accept it, but they'll let them prove that ivermectin is not effective. If they prove that it is not effective. And the other thing is that because, as doctor was talking about, the loss of now millions of lives world over, because a simple drug could not be quickly used. And the interferon that Dr. Devan has been recommending, I have not used it, but I would love to have the opportunity to use it. And so I think that is a gross, what do you call it? It's a crime that they have their decision has led to, because WHO is believed by everybody. I mean, in Jamaica the other day, there was some doctor had put a petition on the use of ivermectin, saying that you should allow this drug. It is very effective. It has been proved. But the health minister said, no, if the WHO says no, it is a no. That was the thing. So they believe WHO so implicitly. We all did at one time. So now there is a case against WHO. You may be aware. The Bar Association of India, a group of lawyers have filed. They've sent a legal notice to the chief scientist Soumya Swaminathan on this. That why did you do this? That because of your declaration that ivermectin cannot be used, lots of people have lost their lives. So they have put the case. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, this is the thing, that it is not only wrong, it is more or less criminal to do this without proving it. Let them prove it.
Okay, you are putting a very, very, very serious charge on WHO and in turn to the ICMR and the Niti Aayog or the All India Institute of Medical Science, because they are the authorities in India who are giving all these the protocols, creating the protocols. Now my question goes to Dr. Deven. Dr. Deven, Delta is 64% more transmissible than Alpha variant. Now it is said that the Delta plus is 60% more transmissible than Delta. Is it true? If yes, then how we are going to stop the third wave? Dr. Deven, please.
Sir, I have been studying the molecular architecture of this one virus. And if you look at the first thing that came, that had X number of what are called spike proteins. Spike proteins attached to what is called angiotensin converting enzyme receptor number 2. There are only a limited number in the human body, and these spikes are also limited. Now, that can be blocked by zinc, which is what we initially advocated. Today, the virus is acting as if it's got a brain of its own. And what is it doing? It is far sharpening these spikes, making it very lethal, so that any virus that even goes by you can quickly grab this angiotensin converting enzyme receptor and quickly enter the human body. Not only in the nose, but in the lungs and also in the liver and kidney. So it is far more vicious than the earlier variant. It is as if some intellectual brain is tweaking this and making it far more lethal. Now, of course, Lambda is about to come. What is it, therefore, up to us? Live inside a bubble. Imagine if this entire earth is completely polluted. Live inside a sterile bubble. You are one, according to the new manufacturer, FPP3. It is a particular protocol of the European agency. It's also marketed as N99. Now that the company's guarantees is 100% protective, 100% you will not be infected. So when that guarantee is there, should we not take charge? I've seen many households, they say we never came out of the house. Absolutely, even if one person goes out and comes inside, that patient, the attire will be loaded with virus and the incumbents inside the house will be infected. So it is up to us to protect even inside the house. Today we talk about wearing a double mask. Why talk about all that? Go for what is called an N99 or a G99. It's got silver ions. Today we are, what is it? The only thing that kills a virus on touch is copper. We have copper impregnated mask with a nose clip. Because if you look carefully, there is a gap between the mask and the cheek. That gap has to be addressed. Because if you're immersed in a swath of viruses, a tiny gap is enough to enter it. So wear a complete face fitting mask with a face shield. I've seen several face shields. Much of it is which is given in airlines is all no use because there's a huge gap between the shield and the face. It has to completely envelop your face. And if you protect yourself, you are largely protected. Otherwise, everybody is vulnerable, especially the Delta plus is highly risky for children. Now, children, we have not yet had the vaccine thing. Vaccine itself is a debatable question. There has been a lot of other talk about the vaccine. So you got to be very, very careful. Protect yourself. You can see yourself out of this. Otherwise, we have to wait for Noah's Ark.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Deven. Now, Dr. Kaveri, would you like to add anything about this Delta plus and what Dr. Deven has said? Is it true that it is going to be more deadly and it's 60% more transmissible than the Delta? What do you say about that, Dr. Kaveri?
I don't know because it is something that I have not enough knowledge of. I'm still wondering what it will be. My one small hope is that because we are reaching the end of the, 2 years, we are coming towards the end of 2 years, maybe the virus will, even though it is more transmissible, it will become less virulent. This is a hope based on history, but scientifically, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, doctor, for admitting very honestly about this. Now, my question goes to Dr. Deven. Dr. Deven, it is said that the Delta plus has same mutation as the South African variant. And since AstraZeneca was found to be ineffective against South African variant, that's why they have cancelled the order. It has come in the media also. So now, what is the risk to Covishield vaccinated Indians? Like I have taken a Covishield. Now, if the Delta plus is has the same mutation as of South African variant, and the South African variant is not having means the AstraZeneca, the Covishield is not effective on that variant. So it means this Delta plus, which is now we are waiting or we may get, hopefully we should not, but we know that it's not our will. So when that Delta plus will attack us, this Covishield patient, those who have taken the Covishield vaccination, what will be their future?
So let me make it very clear. I created the first vaccines for resistant Pseudomonas medullare infections. I identified the bacterial colony and identified the dominant strain. By chance, if my identification of the strain is not appropriate, the vaccine will not work. So therefore, if we have created why aren't we able to create a vaccine for HIV? If so much of talk is there about the coronavirus, because HIV is continuously mutating. The coronavirus is now mutated only 4 or 5 or 6 times, whereas HIV virus is continuously mutating. So if I were to create a vaccine for the HIV, by the time I give it, this virus would have completely changed its clothes. You can't even identify it. So therefore, an earlier Covishield or a Covaxin or a Sputnik or all of that definitely will not work. Although there is talk so that this may sell. I am saying it so that it may sell. Maybe later when a person gets infected, oh, we are so sorry. That is not the argument. We need to know that a virus-specific vaccine will not work to another virus which is completely mutated. If so, we could have had vaccine for HIV, and that would have been a case solved many decades back. How many people have got infected? There is no HIV virus vaccine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deven. What you say about this, Dr. Kaveri, about the Covishield, about this Delta plus variant, equivalent to the South African variant, and South African variant, we all know that it is the Covishield is not effective, or the AstraZeneca is not effective. So what will happen to those who have been vaccinated with the Covishield in India?
Yes, it will probably not protect. I too took Covishield, and that is one of the reasons I still continue with ivermectin for myself also.
So you mean to say that those who have taken even the vaccine, Covishield, they should go take the medicine?
Yeah, that's what I do feel. Yes, I do believe. Because it is, even if you're, maybe up till the previous variants were, it might have been effective, but definitely if the South African variant begins to increase or the new Lambda one comes, I think they will not be effective. Most likely they won't be effective. So I think it would be difficult. And what Dr. Devan said regarding the use of these vaccines, because they have produced a large amount, they have invested billions of dollars, the Western countries, in the vaccine industry. It's a huge amount, and they don't want to waste that. They cannot. Their economy will suffer a great deal if they let go of it. And that is one of the reasons I'm very sure that this vaccine mania, this whole thing about vaccine being the only thing that is possible to get us out of this, I think, and this urgent, everything is also linked to the fact that they have to sell their vaccines quickly. And they wanted to keep going. No, not only that, the anti-flu vaccine has shown that vaccination can be a very thriving industry, because for a flu vaccine, every year the new one comes up. So this is in America, for instance, all people above the age of, I think, 60 take flu vaccines. So this is a huge, huge industry, and it changes every year. It changes every year.
That's true. But apart from our country or few countries, everywhere the vaccination is given free of charge. Either they've been under the NHS scheme in UK, or with the it's free in UK.
No, free to the person, but it is actually the government has to get it from the government.
Yes. Oh, so you mean to say those who are the manufacturers, they are benefited, and the government is losing the money.
And they benefit, not only that, they benefit hundreds of or whatever $1 million or $1 billion. So it is nothing for them to give $100 billion to some government or to some agency. No, honestly, that's what's happened to the media. just a few 10 crores or something. So media is also all for the vaccine. They may not be consciously doing it, but like if my bread and butter came from you, I would agree with everything you said, you know. So this is
I understand, Dr. Kaveri. I am also waiting from somebody to sponsor our programs. If we are getting millions of dollars, no problem. But now my question goes to again Dr. Deven. Dr. Deven, on 24th June in India declared Delta Plus as virus of concern. Though WHO has not done so, still, is it something which should worry people now?
Absolutely, yes. Because I've been following these evolutions of the virus ever since it came onto our consciousness. Certainly, yes. The Delta Plus is 10 times more infectious than the original Delta. But now we are looking at Lambda. And if a mutation has happened like this, is it some intellectual brain who has been tweaking it so that more and more people get infected and therefore more and more vaccines can be sold? Or is the virus mutating with a brain of its own? It's an amazing, like this Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, said, this virus is a very clever guy and it is very efficient at what it does.
Okay. Now, what you say about this, Dr. Kaveri, about this Delta Plus? WHO has not yet said about it. It's a matter of concern. Indian people have declared that India has declared that it's a matter of concern.
It is a matter of concern because if it is going to be highly transmissible and as virulent or more virulent, then I think we are in for a very bad third wave.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Deven, according to you now, is vaccination, because the government says, every media is saying, although Dr. Kaveri has put an allegation on us, not me, means about the media, government, everybody is saying the vaccination is the only solution which can prevent third wave. Do you agree, Dr. Deven?
100% I disagree.
And reason?
So the thing is, I am now coming to Mangalore today, you know, and the protocol is I must get a RT-PCR negative test. Let me make it very clear to all those listeners. RT-PCR is a test designed by a wonderful gentleman by the name Karen Mullis. Karen Mullis very clearly said RT-PCR should not be used as a diagnostic test. But then I had to pay 500 rupees per test for me and my wife, 1000 rupees, just to get a test with the original founder said should not be used as a diagnostic test. That is a sad state of affairs. So if a new mutant strain is coming and we're advocating a vaccine which is not designed for it, we are on the wrong track. Why can't we? Millions of years humans have survived on Earth with a robust immune system. It is in the last 0.01 millimeter of the time scale of Earth that we have all moved inside and do not have adequate sunlight exposure. If sunlight exposure, original natural dig, pluck, hunt, gather, the paleo diet as we advocate, and good immunity is the way to go forward. That is what I will concur by. Have a good immunity, you will be healthy and safe.
Okay. Dr. Kaveri, what you say about this? Is vaccination the only solution which can prevent third wave?
No, vaccination is not the only solution. What he explained, Dr. Devan explained it, that it will, as the virus evolves and becomes different, changes, the same vaccination cannot manage, as we have found with other vaccines, like with the flu vaccine, and this is very similar. It is a type of flu. So vaccination is not. It is a way of keeping the vaccine industry chugging along. And
okay.
Yeah, but it is a very short-sighted. That is why I am so dismayed by this, that it is such a short-sighted way of dealing with it. And I cannot understand how the whole world is sort of almost like, you know, frozen with fear, that they cannot use their common sense. This is what seems to be happening, that we are not using common sense.
Okay. So you are also agreeing with Dr. Deven that the vaccine is not the solution. Now my question to Dr. Deven is there a role of Ayurvedic product in protection from COVID? Because I will tell you, recently, and we all know, one product was introduced to the market and though two of our very senior ministers were present in the ceremony, and now there is a petition filed, and they says about 1,000 crores have been earned by minimum 1,000 crores have been earned by selling that product openly, treating that, saying that it is the product, it's going to safeguard, and then it was termed that it's a immunity booster. Do you agree with that product?
So absolutely no. Why? Because my research project was on immunology. I won a gold medal in vaccine research. Last 30 years, I have been practicing immunity treatment. If my patients were not improving, I am on the wrong track. If medicine has been declared a business first, which means the market force of business will operate, which means if your practice is improving, it means the patients, this is being received by the society at large in a positive way. So if I, as an allopathic doctor, had seen an increase in my practice, and another doctor X practicing Ayurveda, whose practice is not increasing, what does it show? That we are on the right track. Patients' perceptivity of my treatment protocol is true. And all those who are taking an immune allopathic focused treatment are improving. We are very clear. The immune system requires 4 things. Number 1, amino acid, ascorbate, iron, and zinc, with a few other ingredients. These 4, if well supplemented, 100%, I've seen hundreds of patients whom I've treated over the decades, they remain healthy and robust and good and fine, which is why patients keep coming year after year. They say, sir, my child, after your treatment for 9 weeks, after that, irrespective of how many children get affected in their class, they remain healthy. So building a good immune system using clearly defined, identified allopathic ingredient is the way to go forward. Ayurveda does not have very clear focus at the molecular level. What works where? That principle is not there. No, that we cannot accept. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Dr. Kaveri, you are not accepting vaccine. Dr. Deven is also saying there, and Dr. Deven mentioned about the RT-PCR also. Now it means what Baba Ramdev is saying is right. He says the allopathy is having no treatment, and the doctors. So why we are blaming, why the IMA is after taking guns after the Baba Ramdev? He's right. He says the allopathy doesn't have anything. This vaccine, he has mentioned very clearly, although he got it vaccinated afterwards, after lots of pressure, but he was very clear the vaccine is no, not very big no to vaccine, as well as about the allopathy treatment. What you say about this, Dr. Kaveri?
It's actually more like a comedy, you know, the whole thing, the whole scene. We are all part of that comedy in a way. I mean, what Baba Ramdev, whose products I've never touched, but I have tried. I mean, I have used Ayurveda in various forms as a child, lehyams and nice tasting syrups and so on. What we give to children to boost their health. So my experience with that is just limited to a general use, as a general sort of an immunity. What doctor said is true, that they don't have focus. Ayurveda doesn't have focus. So when patients come to me and they ask me even about other things, can they go to Ayurveda? When it is something totally harmless, like taking lehyam for something, or massaging, a knee with oil, I say go ahead. But when it is about other diseases, for instance, cancer or anything else, when they come and say Ayurveda, they say that it can be cured. I tell them, please don't, please go to an allopath, because that is where you will find their actual cure, because they're not true. It is a sort of a blind, not properly studied. I mean, it has got its own good points, but it is not properly studied for most of the diseases where allopathy scores.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Deven, what gives better protection, vaccine or prior COVID infection?
Can you come again, sir?
See, somebody has taken a vaccine, and one fellow is having already suffered from COVID. So he's already been infected by COVID. Now, which is better, giving the more protection, vaccinated person or the other who have already suffered from COVID? Whose immunity is more and who is protected from the this COVID?
You're asking a question between the devil and the deep. So may I please clarify, my student got COVID became quite serious he did not go to the ICU, but finally he recovered. Now, people who were suffering came to him asking for his plasma. We studied his blood antibody level. We found that antibody level was 0 and he could not give plasma. So even though a person might have corona and come out of it, if his immunity is not good enough to produce antibodies, he still will get infected. Number one. Number two, I have seen innumerable people who have taken vaccine 1, vaccine 2, still they get infected. So both of which are negative. I am still saying, because I have a documented, very clear roadmap on building immunity, please follow that. You are safe.
Okay.
Neither the vaccine nor the previous infection. No. Definitely not.
Okay,
Because
thank you.
I have one documented evidence. My student, 0 immunity.
Okay, thank you. What do you say about this, Dr. Kaveri?
Yes, it is very varied, and the protection after an infection is very varied. We don't know. I think they have to be protected otherwise. And the same is true of vaccines, where there is a dubious result. I don't know. I can't say I know 100%, but I have seen patients vaccinated who have come to this. There was one lady who was vaccinated, and I think 2 days, 2 days later, she came to me. Her chest was riddled with crepitation. She was really, really sick. And she needed urgent intervention. We had to give her steroids. I mean, she pulled out only because she was otherwise a strong woman, you know, a strong lady. But I've seen that, and I know of other cases where they've taken both vaccines and then still got COVID. I think in Bengal, there were so many doctors who, after both their vaccines, doctors who got COVID. So neither of them has actually, proved 100% or no, absolutely.
Okay. And now my question goes to Dr. Devin. Dr. Devin, since cities are opening up now, when do we expect third wave?
I will tell you, sir, my take on this. My take is because of the fear factor, because of the concern. I come from a very nice cultured city in India called Mangalore, the 46th best city in the world. And provided we observe these things, the virus, as cunning as it is, will lie low. Even though people are talking about October, my take is till October, November, December, everything will lie low. Then people's guard will come down, and then we are going to see an explosion. Please mark my words. I do not know if it will come true or not, but we are going to see an explosion from January onwards.
Okay. What do you say about this, Dr. Kaveri?
I am too afraid to guess, actually. I don't have a, like I change my mind between various things. I don't know, because I think a lot depends on the behavior of the people right now, and all the other factors. How much are they protected, actually, the immunity levels, the nutritional levels, which are a huge matter of huge concern among people now in the last 2 years. So except the small fraction who can afford, those of us who can afford to eat well and be conscious of our immunity and look after it, that is fine. I mean, I have patients who write to me and I'm delighted to advise them about immunity and all this. So, but that is such a small number. I really don't know when it will come. I cannot predict. I would go by this system.
But doctor, recently the news have come about that in Europe within no time cases have started increasing, and they are blaming about the soccer match or the World Cup which is happening, or the Wimbledon is happening, or now they are saying about that have a reservation of Tokyo Olympic. Do you agree that because of these types of, although they have lots of good immunity there and they might be eating well, far better than what we are eating, what you are saying in the rural area, so why the number of patients are increasing although they are vaccinated there?
No, surely overcrowding is one of the cardinal things to avoid, because when you're in a large number, all pressed together, and even if there is just one person who is able to, infect people, that will spread very fast. I think, crowds, when we the minute we start crowding into malls and movie theaters and weddings, Kumbh Melas and all the other religious festivals of various types.
Even election, even election
is the most lethal one. So these are, and you've seen how people behave. They think that just because it's election, they can let go, or just because it's a religious festival, they don't have to worry. It is bizarre the way people conduct themselves, because I think we could have brought, about this, we could have brought stringent laws, for the time being, about how you prevent, close proximity. That we could have had stringent laws. That I think, yeah, and fines and everything.
Thank you. Dr. Deven, again, I am coming to the same point to you. I am again asking again and again. Yesterday only, Government of India said that the vaccine is giving 98% protection. Do you agree?
Yes, of course. If the strain is specific, we are specifically identifying I will tell you the exact letters M12864, the current strain to which the vaccine has been made. If it is given and if the patient's immune system can manifest an antibody response, we will be protected. But the problem is the virus has mutated, and to that mutant strain, we are not generating an antibody to exactly that strain. So the government projects an image encouraging people to vaccinate. Are you aware? If you look at it, is horrifying to see the adverse effects reported for a vaccine. How many people have had myocarditis? How many people have got infected? How many people have, so many problems have happened. Are we covering up all that? No, we should not do that. We should be very clear. The virus, if it has not mutated at all, then we can say the world should be vaccinated. But this is a mutating virus to whom earlier vaccine might not work.
Okay. What you say about this, Dr. Kaveri? What, Doctor, do you agree with Dr. Deven, or what the government has said, that 98% yesterday only?
No, I agree that the vaccine cannot protect you against mutating viruses. And the government has the option of coming out clean and educating the public about this. Like when you have immunity boosters, for instance, what doctor is has talked so much about, why not let the people know the truth that the virus is mutating? So at best, it will protect you from what is currently, in circulation, but it will not protect you against others. And that boosting your immunity is very, very important.
Okay. Now my question.
May I just clarify a thing?
Yes, Dr. Dev. Yes,
the
doctor.
patient has got corona or has been given a vaccine. Why is the vaccine? It is not a cure. Why the vaccine is to generate antibodies. Where the antibodies have to come from ingredients in the blood. What are the ingredients? Amino acids. Where it will come from, either you have to intake it or it comes from the muscle, which is why a corona positive patient, when he goes to the ICU, he gets emaciated. Why? The body is taking amino acid from the muscle, breaking down muscle, and then generating an antibody trying to fight that virus. Why can't we advocate amino acids for everybody? I now tell people every day you take one amino acid capsule, you will get far more from it than from your diet. Every day, take a vitamin C. The human body has mutated. Glucosidase enzyme is blocked. We cannot synthesize vitamin C. We are mutants. Take a vitamin C, 500 milligram, 61 milligrams of iron and zinc. That will make your immune system robust. Plus, we cannot absorb iron in the diet because rice contains phytates. Please overcome that phytate by sprinkling lime, which is the original idea behind sprinkling lime on a biryani, to overcome the phytate, or to take a lime juice after a good hearty meal. So do these things. Make sure, check your blood iron status, check the status of zinc, take amino acids. One amino acid 100% will prevent the cytokine storm, which why people die. And the second thing, we do not appreciate what Dr. Chetty from South Africa said. It is a hypersensitivity reaction. All you need to give is an antihistamine from 6th day onwards. The sudden 8th day syndrome will not happen. Why can't it be part of a national protocol? Please prevent patients from dying.
Okay, Dr. Deven, you want to add anything, Dr. Kaveri, in this?
I agree about this antihistamine, what he said. About the immunity, of course, we've already talked, but I agree about antihistamine starting right from the beginning to be safe and continuing, through the whole entire course of the disease, to give antihistamines always.
Okay, okay, thank you. Dr. Deven, many are suffering from post-COVID complications like heart attack, brain stroke, and even deaths. Why?
So the thing is, what does the virus do? It brings in a hypercoagulability state. Blood suddenly starts clotting. Our surgery postgraduate student, not ours, from a neighboring college, COVID, third day sitting in the ward and chatting, suddenly he fell down dead. And like that, so many deaths. We have seen videos of people just suddenly falling on the road and dying. Why? Because the blood clots. And after the clot, the blood breaks down. When the clot breaks down, it manifests in the blood by a test, and that is called D-dimer. D-dimer should not be seen, but the moment it is seen, it means blood. It can clot in the many places. So what should we do? Clotting drug, but we should be very.
Okay, I think Dr. Deven, your net is giving problem, Dr. Deven. So yes, Dr. Deven, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Now you can please, because there was some disturbance in the net
as well.
Okay, Dr. Kaveri, you have to say something about this, about the post-COVID complications.
Yes, I'm seeing increasing number of post-COVID complications here, but I'm interested to, I have been tracking the ones I have treated personally, and I've always found it, I have not found post-COVID complications in those who have taken ivermectin.
Yes.
The ones who come to me with post-COVID are all those who have been treated in other hospitals, they've been to hospitals or quarantined somewhere else, but they have not received ivermectin. It would be interesting to do a study of this to find out if patients who have taken ivermectin, do they still go on to get post-COVID complications.
Okay.
But I see a lot of them, they're very distressing and they're very serious, and there's a whole lot of medicines that we are trying and giving them, but especially as regards clotting. But,
okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kaveri. Now, my last question to you, Dr. Deven, and then I will come to Dr. Kaveri, is it is likely that the COVID-19 will remain permanently in society. When do you think we can live normally without mask and social distancing?
Can you repeat that, sir?
See, COVID-19 is there now, and it is there. We don't know till when it will be. It can be for lifelong. So when do you think we can normally, without mask and social distancing, can live without mask and without social distancing?
So let me be very clear. Many people ask me, when will Corona go? Corona will go when humans become humane. I have told many people who are the actual viruses for planet Earth. This is my personal opinion. The viruses for planet Earth are humans, and the virus is a vaccine which Mother Earth has sent to get rid of the human population, because humans have become so mean, they become so selfish, they have become so self-centered, that this is something, in my opinion, as if I was Mother Earth, will I not send a virus to wipe out humanity? Once humans become humane, Earth will say, okay, thank God, stop. Tata, take care, goodbye.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kaveri, you have to reply this, but plus one more addition to that is, can immunity be boosted? Because you said that you take that medicine, ivermectin, and that the immunity will be there. So can immunity be boosted overnight? Is there any evidence to prove it?
No, I think immunity boosting is different to the use of ivermectin. Okay. Ivermectin destroys the virus or prevents it.
Okay.
But I think both yes, should be used together. I really think that both together would be a very good way of tackling it. And pandemics, although COVID-19 might eventually go, we are going to see more pandemics until, as Dr. Deven says, we become more humane. until we realize. Yes,
No, but when we will stop using the mask and meeting people normally as we used to meet earlier? Is
No,
any time?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
Sir, I
Okay.
will tell you.
Yes, doctor.
Since our focus is on colonizing Mars, if we do not carry the virus there and we have a colony there, we can live there in nice glass bubbles without a mask.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I must say, you have given the answers in my state questions. You have given the state answers. And viewers, these are the views expressed by two experts. Decision is yours, or that all those medical fraternity people or the government people to decide what they are saying is right or wrong. But they have given their views very, very bluntly, very frankly, straight way. Now, whether they are right or wrong, decision lies with you, the medical fraternity, and the government agencies. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live.
It has been a pleasure to interact with Dr. Kaveri, Mr. Lal Goel, as well as we have somebody controlling the whole thing, Mr. Paul, who's at the background. I am grateful to all of you.
Thank
Dr. Kaveri for taking time to come onto our platform.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4NEWS, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, the Bharat Post News, as well as first shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day something. And today, as you know, in the evening program, we are introducing you and welcoming one chief guest who has achieved in the lifetime his or her life journey. And today in the program Kal Aaj Aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. We have our chief guest. He is Rotarian Mukesh Singhal, District Governor, Rotary International District 3110, which is covering UP and Uttarakhand, and he's from Aligarh. So he will be telling his own autobiography, his own life journey, that how from the very beginning and how he has reached on the top position in especially doing the social service. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. P.P. Devan, for giving the straight answers, as well as thank you very much, Dr. Kaveri, for giving the straight answers too. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you very much.